Oh, this is Old Crow Balthazar, and this is the third part of the mod notes for the Balkan Variations mod by MD Small. So I just read the notes briefly, and this part concerns Montenegro and Serbia. And so I'll post this up, a link up in the Matrix forums and elsewhere. Yeah, so he's amended a few things, and that's a lot of these ideas stem from a whole bunch of conversations we had, just not him and me, but a lot of other people on the forums. Try to work this situation out. All stemming from the infamous Montenegro gambit, which turned out to be kind of an exploit. But Chernobyl was gracious enough to expose it into the public, even though there was few of us that kind of knew something about it. We didn't realize the gravity of the whole thing, though, I don't think. Especially when used in conjunction with the attack in Russia. So let's take a look at these notes. Okay, so yeah, this is from Mike. I just received this about an hour ago. Revised opening settings for Serbia and Montenegro. For the current version 2 of the Balkan Variations mod, we are working with the following changes from the vanilla game for Serbia and Montenegro. First, let's see. The Dalmatian Railroad from Sarajevo to Ragusa to Sejins has been removed, reducing all the ports on the Dalmatian coast to 5 strength points. So as a side note, I had suggested this and did a lot of research on that, and there was a very narrow gauge, very windy railroad that went from Sarajevo down to Dubrovnik. Or the old name is Ragusa. And they had to use like 3 separate engines, and so and one part was really bad. The train would derail. Anyway, it was used for local transport of produce and cattle and passengers, but for heavy troop trains, especially if you're going to bring 100,000 men within a short period of time, I don't see how that's going to happen. Okay, next, the 2 hex line of railroad from Pec to Sejins has been removed. Pec is still connected by rail to Serbia through Pristina. Interesting. Yeah, there was a segment. There was also, I think it was built by Italian engineers. So anyway, it was very narrow too. I'm not even sure if it was the same gauge. It was a narrow gauge, but as a Bosnian gauge, one up in the north in Bosnia. Pec has been made an industrial center for Montenegro, so that new Montenegrin units like the Sanjak Corps can be deployed around Pec as well as Sejins. This was necessary. Pec no longer has a rail connection to capital at Sejins. On a side note, yeah, well, we need that too if you want to build new Montenegrin units. That wasn't there before on our earlier version, and yeah, so that was an oversight. The Serbian UCS Corps that starts in UCS has its starting strength increased from 5 to 6. Now, that's fine too. Now, the only way you can really spot it if you're doing an opener as a CP is you bring a cavalry unit down and get it close to the border, and then you can see it, and then you can use an Austro-Hungarian corps to drive against it, and before you drive against it, you get the ambush from the Serb corps sitting there. Now, but if you use a cavalry, you can see it, and you can demolish it down to like 3 points, 2 points sometimes. So this helps out a little bit. The First Serbian Army now starts at hex 18.95, 1 hex north of its starting point at Kragujevac in the vanilla game. This means that Serbia is now defending the Danube River line southeast of Belgrade, and the Austro-Hungarians cannot move to the hex unobstructed on the first turn. Yeah, we spoke about that before, I think, but that's probably a good thing. They did have the whole line covered on either side of Belgrade. New decision event for the Entente, which allows them to intervene in Greece, can now be triggered if the Central Powers capture any one of this line of 4 Serbian-controlled towns: Sejins, Pec, Pristina, or Niš. Initially, our thinking for the trigger for this event was if the CP were within 2 hexes of Uskop. But we realized that if the CP reached that point, the Serbians would already be on their last legs. Thus, it would be more interesting to move the trigger points a bit further north. This line of 4 towns reflects the overland supply route to Serbia that would probably be used by supplies from France arriving via Sichinj. Now, if the CP threaten that route by taking any one of those 4 cities or towns, then Taunt will have the choice of deciding whether to intervene in Greece to open a new overland supply route to Serbia through Salonika. We will see in our new PBM game how well these adjustments to the original game work. So yeah, that sounds all good. And it's May 3rd, so I am going to be pulling our first turn. He did his first turn late last night, and I had another YouTube gamer I'm playing gaming with the Colonel, or the Colonel anyway, in the WA game, and there was some goofiness going on with the Slither Rain notifications and all that. I don't know what was up, but I ended up pulling some late Night Owl. I realized that he had a turn up, and got to keep up on that. So anyway, that's all, and thanks a lot for watching. Talk to you later.